Hey, Dad,
Hey, how you doing this evening?
I got a real problem on my hands. There's a neighbor that moved in next door. He started renting,
Uh,
and he's got this German Shepherd, and it's very loud. It bark. I mean, I wake up to it barking. I go to sleep to it barking, and the dog will like hit the fence when Elise in the back just shake this wooden fence. Very aggressive dog, and so I went over and talked to him recently about it, and he kind of gave me this blank stare. I could smell something herbal was in the air while I was talking to him, so I'm not sure if that had anything to do with the blank
Essential
stare.
oils, probably.
Essential oils,
He was
exactly. Yeah,
probably meditating, probably interrupt his meditation
yeah. So
session. Yeah.
he kind of was like, he like hushed the dog, but this dog is just relentless. And so I finally I called the owner of the house because I know her, and she's a sweet old lady. And she's like, well, I didn't really want the dog in there, but they said it's a service dog, so we can't deny this guy to have this dog. And I'm like, there's no way that's like a trained service dog. And she's like, well, you're gonna have to call the property manager. So I'm talking to the property manager. She's like, well, blah blah blah. I can't do anything about the dog. It's a service dog. I'm like, there's no way that is
Yeah.
it's an emotional support dog.
Big
And
difference, isn't there?
the challenge I'm having is this emotional support dog may be tremendous emotional support for my neighbor, but it's creating major amounts of anxiety. Like my anxiety levels going through the roof in my own house because of this barking dog. So I'm like, what's my recourse here? And then I'm trying to think, what's the godly thing as a Christian? Part of me is feeling like I need to get an emotional support tiger and stick it in my
Definitely.
backyard, and then maybe it'll like jump over the fence and eat their emotional support dog. I'll feel very emotionally supported by my tiger at that point.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's an answer. Yeah, I suppose. So what's your problem then? That's the answer. You got it.
I need an emotional support tiger.
Tiger, where can you get one? Google it. Amazon must have them.
Here's the challenge I have. This really has nothing to do with emotional support dogs. Like that is what it is, right? And but the challenge I'm having is, okay, so as a Christian, how much are you supposed to just take it? Like, if Jesus says, turn the other cheek, you're like, well,
Yeah.
if the dog is barking, hey, why don't you get another dog, neighbor, and make it bark too? Am I supposed to do that? or what's your, because, like, well, my rights, I have rights to be at peace in my own home. And I want to speak up about my rights, but then you have the Christian line, well, all your rights are died with Jesus on the cross. You're like, so what is a Christian supposed to do when you find yourself in a situation where you're just like, I can't do anything? But yeah, how much are we supposed to absorb? How much? What's your take?
Well, a story comes to mind, and I'm not sure this is going to be helpful, but I always have a story, right? Helpful or not.
Does it involve a tiger eating a dog?
Well, it's kind of a Chinese story, and the Chinese and tigers are kind of go together.
Yeah,
so
tigers, yeah.
So
okay.
yeah,
All right, let's hear it.
Watchman Nee, I think, is the one who told the story about a fellow who they had the terraced rice paddies, terraced rice fields and stuff, and somebody kept knocking out the little wall so that this farmer's water would run out of his rice field and water the guy down below him. He would put little holes in the wall, and he went to his pastor to complain about it, and the pastor did not give the answer the guy wanted. He says, well, the answer is very simple. You go and water his rice paddy before you water yours. And then he will take care of it. Sure enough, that took care of the problem. So I'm kind of thinking, maybe you ought to get a giant steak and feed that dog. And I don't know what you might soak it in before. No. I don't know what this.
I would say this is not going the direction I want. I want you to land on me being justified and getting an emotional support tiger.
Yeah. Well, I'm really scouring my brain for some scripture that would support that, but it's kind of hard. Have you run across one yet?
I got nothing. And I mean, and here's the thing. Again, it's not about the dog. I know we've already we're going to get hate mail about this. You're like, how dare you talk about, people who have low comprehension or just don't listen to what we're actually saying. They've just read the survey. I read the title there, but it's not about the dog. It's really about, there's so many times in life where as an American, I've got a right to do something, like to speak up and address my neighbor. But then you've got this Christian thing that makes life so darn tricky sometimes if you're going to really follow it. It was a G.K. Chesterton said, the Christian ideal hasn't been tried and found wanting. It's been found difficult and left untried.
Yeah, I've never really tried it. And I don't know, maybe, and let's just see how this sounds, since It's live, it's over with, and it's done. Okay.
It's live and nobody's listening anyway.
That's right. And we can delete it later if we don't like what it said, maybe there's some things in life that really, I mean, we always represent the Lord, but maybe there's some things that are just kind of extracurricular. In other words, it's just kind of a matter of being kind to one another just because we're human beings. It has nothing to do with whether he's a Christian or you're a Christian or you're going to witness to him. So therefore you want to have a good testimony or something. Maybe it's just a matter of, hey, like for instance, you work at home and record at home and a dog barking can be picked up on the mic, and maybe he would just be nice enough to do that. And if not, well, what do? Well, okay, the guy's a total jerk. Well, that's why we have authorities and living in society, because we live close to one another. We had to establish certain authorities that would make it tolerable for us to live live close enough together. And not everybody can live out in the country and be blessed, So that's what we have neighborhood associations for, and that's what we have police for. And I mean, you feel like a real jerk, and one scripture that does come to mind, if you have aught against your neighbor, I think it says brother, but you go to him. And if you go to him, and then if it doesn't work in the scriptural stance, then you take it to the church. But of course, what it's saying is take it to an authority that person is going to respect.
So you work it up the authority chain. You work it up the authority chain. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And I mean, I guess the key to it, so much of it is, are you doing it in love? Which is, I think, one of the problems with the church wars thing is it's like you have these people that they've just got, well, we're going to do this kind of music. Well, I don't like that kind of music. It irritates me. Yeah. It's infringing upon my enjoyment of church for you to do that music but it really comes back to that, is like, what are you going to do to stay in unity and love, which is the most, I guess that's the most important thing, which is not really where I wanted to end, because I really wanted to get an emotional support tiger, but that I would train to eat.
Well, maybe get a service tiger that would lay down.
Service tiger,
a real trained service tiger.
You can. This is a trained. I could even get a little vest for it, and so I could walk through the airport with it legally.
Exactly, board the plane, and he would crawl into the seat in front of you. Yeah, like Carry On. Yeah, you heard about them. Yeah,
go ahead.
You heard about the vultures who were getting on the plane and they were dragging a raccoon, and they said, "This is my Carry On."
Carry On.
Never mind. Carry On.
It's a little advanced vocabulary humor.
Okay, look that one up. Anyway, I think the point is, a lot of times it's not really what you do, it's the attitude in which you do it. And so, and the thing is, if you go over there, what you reap, you sow. So if you go to confront your neighbor, like, I got to stop that dog, well, then no, I don't, But if you kind of go with the humility, maybe, just maybe, there would be a response to, well, okay, I don't want to be a jerk either, so maybe I'll do what I can. What can I do? Well, get a shot collar, get a smaller dog.
See, right there, you're going to get hate mail for that too now.
I know.
Shot collar on a dog.
No, not on the dog. I'm talking about putting it on the guy. That way he would know when his dog is barking.
That's 2 a.m. The dog barking.
he would figure out something to do with the dog. You're too mean to do it to the dog. See, we took care of that. No more hate mail.
All right, hey, listen to the full podcast before you send angry mail to my dad. But that's a good point. A gentle answer turns away wrath.
Yeah,
Solomon says. And so if you come in, well, you always taught me that. You always said, come in.
Your mother taught me that.
No, but you always said this. You said you always go in like a cat, and you can turn into a lion later if you need to. But if you go in like a cat, kind of paranoid, like maybe there's something I don't know here. Maybe there's something challenge this guy's facing. Go in like a cat. You can turn into a lion later. If everything you suspected is true, you can go, roar. But what do we do most of the time? We go in like a lion, and then it just exacerbates, accelerates the whole intensity of it.
So go in gently, and then you can be a support tiger later, if necessary.
Yeah, I have to call the Tiger King guy and see if he's got any
extras laying around.
Tiger kittens.
You want to start them young. Okay.
I'm not sure we've resolved anything here, but
I think we really did. I think
we may have just hit a hornet's nest, and we're going to pay for it later.
I think there are angels in heaven going, I never thought of that one. Or maybe not.
Well, if you've enjoyed the podcast, we have a full form version of it that's available on Spotify, iTunes, and
if you enjoyed the podcast, there may be something wrong with you, actually. What can you say?
Yeah. So you can check that out. We've got a full 20-minute podcast. And if you've enjoyed it, you can also check out more from Dad and me. You go to rickmalm.com or joelmalm.com, joelmalm.com/podcast to get the podcast. So have a great week. Good talking to you, Dad.
Hey, you too. Bye-bye.